We've been conditioned very well to believe that when you have an issue, you go to the doctor and they're going to give you something and you're going to be better. But that has only been the mentality for the last 125 years. Before that, everything was energetic and plant-based.
Yeah.
All of the healing and all of the medicines were energetic and plant-based.
Yep.
I don't know how we lost sight in just 100 years of thousands and thousands of years of medicinal history.
Corporate.
Yeah, we all know it's
television, commercials,
yes,
bombarding us with marketing.
We know cannabis would put a lot of people out of business.
Welcome to Season 6 of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, where we speak the language of cannabis freely and uncensored while educating our audience on safe use of this live plant therapy. You should know what's in your cannabis, what's good and what's not, because cannabis does not come with an FDA stamp of approval, yet. The information you will find here comes straight from scientists and clinicians, doing the work and reporting their findings in reputable outlets. Hopefully, we can inspire you to research the facts as we know them today. Cannabis is an amazing alternative in health remedies, with the potential to alleviate typical disease problems and troubling side effects, even those caused by synthetic prescriptions. Here now is the host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast. She is a 21st century cannabis shaman, not a doctor, not a scientist. Raised by nuns and wolves in the verdant cattle pastures of the Oklahoma oil fields, here to amplify the truth of this great big story of cannabis in historical, political, scientific, and spiritual terms, so you can make educated decisions about the medicine you choose to ingest. Please welcome Honey Smith Walls.
There we go. Welcome, darling JJ O'Brien. I am so honored to have you with us today so that you can tell our audience your story, how you're involved in education. I'm so thrilled to be talking about that too, and all about you. Would you please introduce yourself?
Thank you so much, honey. Thank you for having me. I'm so honored and grateful to be here. And I know you've been trying to get me out here for a while, so I'm very happy to be here now. So thank you so much. My name is JJ O'Brien, and I am a certified cannabis health coach and educator based out of Ontario, Canada. And I love plants. I'm also a chartered herbalist, and I am a wife and a mom, and I am also a cancer survivor.
Mm-hmm. That's the story that I know my audience is really going to want to hear and listen to see how cannabis helped you through that process, because here you beautiful are.
Thank you so much. Yes, it was amazing. I mean, I've had cannabis in my life for my whole life. My mom utilized the plant, so I grew up in a very, cannabis friendly household. So it was, always something that I had in my life, but then I never understood cannabis as a medicine until I ended up being diagnosed with cancer in November of 2019. I was diagnosed with stage 4 non-small cell lung cancer. I had metastasis to my bones and lymph nodes. It was a pretty shocking diagnosis. I had been going to the doctor for about a year with pain in various places of my body, and they couldn't really pinpoint what was going on. So basically, I just got sent home with prescriptions and no answers for about a year until finally getting to the diagnosis. My initial prognosis was very poor. I was offered 6 months to a year to live with no options for any type of treatment. It was incurable, inoperable, and terminal. Is what they told me. So I wasn't really okay with that prognosis. Something in me just knew that my life experience had led to the diagnosis, and I felt that because I had a hand in creating the disease, that I could also destroy it.
Can I ask you, did any of those medical professionals ever suggest that you turn to herbs or you know?
Oh my goodness. No, we can get to that part of the story for sure. But yeah, no, that
They gave you a death sentence.
they offered me a death sentence and nothing else whatsoever. So I started looking, at alternatives and other opportunities to heal myself. And it was a couple weeks after the diagnosis, I ended up catching the documentary Weed the People. Yeah. And that was like a huge light bulb, eye-opening moment for me that I was like, oh my goodness, I can utilize cannabis in this way. Wow.
Right.
And I felt like immediately like that's what I needed to be doing. So that's what I started doing. I went home, I started looking up where I could find some. I found some online from a group of Rastafari. So I thought I can trust them because of their sacred connection to the plant.
Right.
So I just ordered 1 gram of the oil so that I could try it. And then after I ordered a little bit more, and then I learned how to make it myself. But that first experience with the first gram of oil that I had, because I had experience with cannabis, I took my first dose. And I was, I had my evening. It was a couple hours had passed. And then I didn't really feel anything from the medicine. So I took another dose. And I made that, number one mistake that most people make, especially new people to cannabis, is, there's nothing happening. Let's have some more. And I very much regretted that choice at 3 a.m. because I woke up extremely agitated and just kind of fidgety and
didn't know what to do.
Yeah, but I knew, because I had experience with cannabis that I was going to be okay. So I just paced my kitchen for a couple hours with a cup of tea until I was able to calm myself down enough.
Yeah.
But the thing that happened was the next day when I woke up, I had no more pain. And I was at 9 out of 10 for pain. Crippling to the point where I couldn't walk sometimes, just agonizing pain that would bring me to tears. And I'm a pretty tough cookie. Like I got a pretty high pain threshold. So, but that very first dose, which was probably about 20, 30 milligrams of THC rich cannabis oil, I had no more pain. And I have not experienced that pain ever since.
Oh my glory.
Mm-hmm.
Said it was about 25 milligrams.
Roughly.
Yeah. Was it like FICO or Rick Simpson oil?
Yep, FICO, Rick Simpson oil.
Which to the audience just means that it's highly, highly concentrated. It's made in such a way that it's really highly concentrated and has all of the cannabinoids and terpenes and everything.
And yes, it's very, very potent medicine.
Very potent. So when she took that second dose, woohoo!
Yeah.
Hi, Honey Smith Walls here. I'm host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, weekly for the past 6 years. But today I'm inviting you to a Facebook group called the Holistic Relief Summit, in hopes that you too will come for the peace and stay for the epiphanies. It's a beautiful space for women to find all kinds of relief from all kinds of suffering. Come join us for free.
Well, hello, I'm Dr. Philip Blair, and I want to introduce you to Honey Smith Walls. And she recently had an experience with beta caryophyllene.
For years, I've been dealing with lots of arthritis pain and pain from neuropathy that has not been resolved through other prescriptive methods. As an advocate educator in the cannabis industry, I learn lots of interesting information about the compounds within the plants, and one of those turned out to be beta caryophyllene.
What was your first dose like?
I was gobsmacked. Absolutely gobsmacked. It has given me my future back.
I want to get it out to everybody too. I want to get it out to the whole world, as a matter of fact. It has so many mitigating factors for all the stresses of life and pain and diseases. It is unbelievable, the spectrum of care that it can provide.
But that was just miraculous for me that I had no more pain. And so I was completely sold at that point. I was like, oh, yes, this is what I need to be doing. It wasn't until a month later that I was told that the cancer they had found had a genetic mutation that made it susceptible to a targeted therapy. So they put me on this targeted therapy as well. But they also told me that this targeted therapy, that I will eventually build up a tolerance to it and it will stop working. So what do I do then? You know what I mean?
Or FICO.
Exactly. So this is why cannabis has always been a really, really big part of my process of what I, do as part of my healing regimen. I feel so much more confident with it than I do with the targeted therapy. I know there are a lot of people in my life who believe that the targeted therapy is doing everything and that nothing else that I am doing. Okay, whatever you say. But when I first started with cannabis, I was utilizing the cannabis for a month before I ever even started on the targeted therapy. And it was in that time frame where the doctor started noticing the tumor was shrinking and the metastasis was healing and the lymph node activity was going down. Yeah. So, and they told me with the medication that it would just halt the cancer, not reverse it. Right. But I ended up with stable and unremarkable scans for 3 years where there was just basically no activity. I personally believe that there was no active cancer in my body, that the one tiny spot they were seeing was just scar tissue.
Yeah. And at that time, you did not know anything about your endocannabinoid system of receptors. You didn't know anything about the science.
Nor did my doctors.
You were just winging it because the universe led you there, and you knew.
100%.
Feel that energy from the universe telling you about this medicinal value.
100%.
You still have more time on this planet, baby.
Yes. Well, it's been 5.5 years and I'm still here, and I've had some ups and downs. I did have a recurrence in August of 2023. I had gone off the targeted therapy. I had really reduced my cannabis, my maintenance dose was really, really low.
Yep.
I also had a lot of stress in my life at that time, and I allowed it to. The stresses can be a real killer. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to watch out for your stress level.
Yes.
So
you had to let that priority slip just a little.
Yeah. And then so in August 2023, I had another wake up call where they found 11 tumors on my brain.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
But, how did your heart sustain that news?
Yeah, it was definitely a shock. But they just put me again into go mode. Survival mode. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So it was just more cannabis. Were
they listeing to you at this point about cannabis?
Well, they never have. And yeah, no, they never have. But I got back on the oil, getting as much as I could into me as possible. Probably about 2 to 3 grams I was taking right in the beginning. And within 3 weeks, the 11 tumors were 9. And the 9 that were left were a quarter of the size that they were.
In 3 weeks.
3 weeks. And within 2 months, the 11 tumors were almost completely resolved, which is what they said. But again, I think they were only seeing scar tissue.
If I may interject here, I too have used FICO for a tumor that grew in my gum and to manage that. And I have to say that even though it's highly concentrated and you were taking huge amounts of it, consistently into your body on a daily basis, your body gets used to it, audience. I want you to know. And you don't walk around stoned out of your mind. In fact,
yeah, you build up a tolerance.
Buzz from it, but your body's so used to it very quickly.
Exactly. And I take the 2 to 3 grams daily and I go about my day. Nobody would ever know that I'm medicated in any way, shape or form. I can drive my car. I can do all the things because I'm only medicated. I am not impaired in any way, shape.
Right. I haven't been high in years.
Yeah. No, me neither. I've been trying. I enjoy being high, but
I don't feel like I need a tolerance break. because I microdose. But I still hadn't been high in years because I microdose.
Yeah.
If I wanted to get high, I'm sure I could.
Yeah.
I'm too busy.
Well, the tolerance is a beautiful thing, and you can slowly work up to it. And that's what I did. And it took me it took me 8 months to work up to the gram a day threshold that the whole, 60 grams in 90 days protocol elicits. It took me 8 months, but even when I was only taking like a half a gram, I was still having success. I was still having reversal of the cancer. So it was doing something. I needed to rebalance my endocannabinoid system because it was completely out of whack after I lost my mom to cancer 18 years ago.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh, honey.
And her situation was like very traumatic for me because she was given a year to live and she died 7 days later. And so it was just a huge shock to me and my family. And there was a lot of helplessness and hopelessness because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't help her. And she was just gone so fast. And it was just like, oh my gosh, what just happened? So when it came to my own situation and I got offered 6 months to a year to live, I was like, no, thank you. Like, I am not going through that. That's not going to be me. That's just, and I just knew that there was just something more that, that I had a purpose and I was going through this for a reason. And the cannabis was going to be a big part of it.
Were you close to your mother?
Yeah, very much. I was an only child. So she had me very young, like 6 days after she turned 17. So we were very close because age gap. And so very hard.
Do you hear her?
I do.
Through your cannabis journey and your cancer journey and all of that.
Well, I'll tell you, honey, that day that I was offered the 6 months to a year to live over the phone by the oncologist, I was, in a bit of shock, and I had gone down to my basement after I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell my son or anybody what I had just found out. I just was processing. And after everybody went to sleep, I was by myself and had a moment where I prayed, and I talked to them, my mom and my dad, and I asked them for help. I was like, please help me because I need help. And it was the next day or the following day where the oncologist told me about the mutation and about the targeted therapy and about, the extension. And he extended my life by 5 years at that point. Yeah. Which was miraculous. So I've had a lot of experiences with the divine, I'll say, especially with through initially starting with the high doses of cannabis oil, because I had a lot of very spiritual experiences being in that euphoria. And there was a lot of time where I spent just processing what was happening to me. And it was in that time where I really took responsibility for my role in creating this cancer in my life and accepting my role and just finding compassion for myself and the perseverance to push through it. And like cannabis helped me in so many ways, like not just physically, but spiritually and it just existentially, like it's given me a whole new life. Now here I am. I was working in a restaurant for 25 years. I was a server, I was a manager, working in restaurants. And now I'm a cannabis health coach and educator working with other cancer patients who want to learn how to utilize cannabis. And I run a cannabis education nonprofit with my colleagues. And like, who would have thought that, I would be here? But obviously this experience with cancer is what was to drive me to where I am today.
You and I have a lot in common, honey.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm in the cannabis industry like you and an educator. I went through Dr. Sulak's healer course and
me too.
Oh God, isn't he glorious? I still attend all of his monthly, conferences. That's been going on, 5 years now? It's incredible to see the tribe that shows up there. I love the questions, the Q&As at the end of his lectures. And it's just amazing to be able to stay up with science through a mind like his, and he's got the practice with the patients to go with it. So,
and he's so kind and generous with his information.
God, he's an angel, isn't he? He's just an absolute angel. And I love to be able to talk about a man on the planet like that.
It is a very
that's another show we'll get into, but
yeah. And Dr. Sulak, actually, some of the work that he did with the woman with breast cancer that he did the case study on that was in Sage Journals.
Yeah.
It was thanks to that study that I ended up changing up my cannabis protocol and utilizing a lot more cannabinoids rather than just the high THC.
Yes.
Because that woman was basically like a kitchen sink approach, right? She was doing like a multi-cannabinoid blend oils plus like the psychedelic therapy and the FICO. And so it was after Dr. Sulak had talked about that case study that I started implementing a blend of oils with CBD, CBDA, CBG, CBGA, THC, THCA.
Excellent, man. You got the acidics in there and everything. That's fantastic. I'm dying to know, did you utilize any kind of mushroom therapy?
I did as well. I love the psychedelics. And honestly, at the beginning, I was just having a little bit of fun because I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Am I going to die? Like, I'm just living my life.
Right.
Right. So
and then we realize how medicinal all that is.
No, exactly. I was just having fun with my friends and I had this amazing weekend and it was a transformative experience that completely shifted my perspective on my healing journey and made me feel so connected to everything and everyone that I was just like, oh, I can do this and I'm not alone. And I'm not alone. I have the universe at my back.
It's thrilling. It's thrilling when you make that connection because now you're into the universal energy. Now you really are connected.
Yes.
And God, the mycelium and the cannabis, one from underneath and one from on top, all those.
It's a beautiful.
Let me just breathe in. I just feel like I'm in a cannabis field right now and enjoying all that it has to offer medicinally. That's the thing. Recreational got here. The whole recreational industry got here because it's so much fun. Both of those are so much fun. But they also are so introspective and they lift us out of our humanity into the ethereal world of energy. Absolutely. And it helps us utilize our brain power too to heal ourselves. I think that's what the majority of humanity doesn't understand anymore about plants.
Our connection to plants. To the earth and how our bodies are designed to interact with them and like our endocannabinoid systems. I mean, we have an endocannabinoid system. We have a system in our bodies designed to interact with the cannabis plant and we make molecules that are just like the molecules in cannabis. Like there's a connection there. It should be like explored so much more deeply, but it's overlooked. And, we've had this 100 years of ridiculous prohibition. Where before that, it was the most medicinally utilized plant on the planet.
And even Big Pharma was producing it. Eli Lilly and Parker and all those big ass guys were producing cannabis tinctures.
Until the petroleum industry.
All stripped away from us about 100 years ago. So they just hadn't figured out how to make any consistent product yet. But we're figuring that out now.
Exactly.
Yes. Now we do have technology.
Yes, because my oncologist and my oncology team says they've heard about the endocannabinoid system.
Oh my God.
I know. So I'm supposed to trust these people with my life.
Yeah.
And they don't even know about the most essential system in my body that is the master controller of all the other systems of the body. Like it makes absolutely no sense to me.
It doesn't to me either, and that they're not jumping on this.
Yes, like it's
jumping on it.
And the education.
I see 40 commercials on TV, that all state you're going to die if you take this drug. But please ask your doctor about Ozempic today.
I know. I know. We've been conditioned very well to believe that when you have an issue, you go to the doctor and they're going to give you something and you're going to be better. But that has only been the mentality for the last 100, 125 years. Before that, everything was energetic and plant-based.
Yeah.
All of the healing and all of the medicines were energetic and plant-based.
Yep.
I don't know how we lost sight in just 100 years of thousands and thousands of years of medicinal history. It's mind-boggling to me, and just the fact that
corporate,
well, we all know it's
television commercials, bombarding us with marketing.
100%.
We're all tuned in, and it's constant commercials bombarding us with that too.
We know cannabis would put a lot of people out of business, and
that have to.
Yeah, well, I mean, they could change their business. I mean,
yeah,
hemp.
There's plenty of room for big pharma to become invested in this.
Yeah,
and produce, what they could.
Yeah,
but
full spectrum plant medicine, not synthetic. But
boardrooms want their share, don't they?
But yeah, so now, I'm trying to advocate, and I'm part of groups and organizations like Educator that tries to, advance education, promote responsible cannabis education within our regions, and make some kind of change within the industries, especially for medical cannabis, because here in Canada, we've been federally legal for in our 6th year now. And there are still really a lot of issues that need to be,
like what? I didn't realize you were federally legal.
Yeah, we're 100% federally legal, but the recreational market is the only thing that they care about because that's where the profits lie. It feels like the medical market is being pushed out because in the medical community, they give discounts on cannabis. And, profits still do well with discounts, right? So
that's exactly what's happened here. I mean, Michigan. I came from Florida, which was a medical state only, and when I got up here to Michigan, it's recreational with the teensy tiny little medical program that's just disappearing. They used to have over 400,000 people enrolled in the medical system. Now there's less than 30, and I'm one of them.
There are less here as well because the government makes it a lot harder, more difficult for medical patients to get access to their medicine.
And there's no education.
But you can just go to the rec store and you can talk to a 19-year-old bud tender and they can't answer any medical questions.
More than 2 questions and you get a new bud tender.
Yeah, nor would you want them to. So because they're 19 and they don't have the proper training. So that's what a big part of what we're doing at Educator is working to create education for bud tenders so that they can help to navigate the conversation and direct people to where they can get the information that they need to utilize cannabis medicinally. Because regardless if you're getting it at the rec store or from the medical store, it's medicine.
Right.
It's all your intention.
Right. The difference down here, I don't know about up there, but the difference down here between rec and medicine is that they don't give you any information about what's in the cannabis other than the THC content or maybe the CBD content. Mm-hmm. And in medical, they give you a little more information, but the choices are much more narrow. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what they did that for, because it's all the same junk. I mean, pardon me for saying junk, but, when they're selling stuff like pink pussy, what's this? 2 unicorn poop.
Oh, yes, unicorn.
This is biscotti. And, they are selling to kids. Mm-hmm. And, oh, gosh, I moved my little... Sorry. Anyway, they're selling to kids, and it doesn't tell you a damn thing about what's in it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm here with my other camera. I am real frustrated by the recreational systems that just overwhelm any medical thing going on because they don't give a shit about education.
Well, no, they're always coming at it with this huge harm reduction lens, but they don't realize that education is harm reduction.
Yeah.
Education is going to keep people out of the hospital. Education, you know what I mean? Education is going to keep people utilizing the appropriate products for their needs and without having uncomfortable experiences, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is the truth of it. Well, how can people get in touch with you and learn more about education and the program and the, especially the bud tender programs? It's such a great concept to teach the bud tenders.
Yes, we have a lot of education that we've created over at Education. We partnered with IMD Health, which is CloudMD in the US, and we have a lot of education modules on there that we utilize and share with our clientele as well. At Education, we have a membership. We have a 3-tiered membership of community members who are kind of curious, members of the community, patients and caregivers. We have a leadership membership for people with formal education in the cannabis field who want, community and support and a little advancing education. And then we have a professional membership as well. So we are really promoting our membership as well, bringing people into the fold, and providing the education that we can, just to guide people along their paths.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So is the best way to find out more about you, educanation.com or I'm sorry, what?
Educanation.info is our website. We are revamping our website right now. So the old site is still up there. We haven't published the new site. I'm so excited for it. It's going to be beautiful. Yes, we have a new website in the works. But it's educanation.info. And then you can email us as well at educanationinc@gmail.com. And learn about our memberships on there, and you can learn more about what we're doing, who we are. I'm really excited for 2025. We have a lot of really, really big events that we're going to be a part of, and a lot of change that's happening. We kind of have the ear of the government now, and we are working with some organizations to I'm under NDA, so I can't talk about all of
That's
that.
Okay, but it's thrilling. It's exciting.
It's really thrilling and exciting what's coming for education, and the change that is going to come within the industry. It's like I said, it's been a long time coming here in Canada. Even after, the legalization, there's still a lot of stigma and still a lot of lack of education. And there's still a lot of people out there in need. So as long as that is the case, Education is going to be here providing responsible cannabis education and cultivating, a community that supports unbiased. And
I'm really proud to be friends of the Education family. And would you please send all of my loving and hugs to your partners there, several of whom have already been on the Cannabis Truth Podcast. And I'm just so grateful, JJ. If somebody wanted to get to you personally to discuss a little more help about, cancer or, the treatment or anything, can they just get you through the Gmail address that you gave?
Yeah. I initially started out at my own business, Naturalistically Now. I have a Facebook group, and I do have a website as well, and people can reach me through there. But I have shifted my business over to Educanation.
I get that.
Shauna Dunbar and I, who is my partner and who you've interviewed, and I know that Steph Matthew and Stacy Boback, Educanation founders. So, but Steph has, since stepped down, and Stacy's on maternity leave. So it's just Shauna and I, holding down the fort right now. So,
and how's Shauna's barn coming?
Oh, her hemp house. It's amazing. I can't wait to visit it. I'm really excited. And then I know you've had Therese on as well.
Yes. Love Therese Bowers.
Yes. And Education.
I think I see her at Dr. Sulak's conferences a lot. I think I have.
Anyway. Jana Champagne.
She's a registered nurse.
She's on our board of directors. She's absolutely fabulous. We have a lot of great members. We have a great board. People can volunteer with us. People can sponsor us. People can donate. We are a nonprofit organization, so we are, we rely on donations and fees from our membership to keep the wheels turning and to keep all this excellent work going. So
Yes.
If anyone's out there who wants to sponsor us or to go to an event or create some education for you, then we are very much open to that. We also approve other cannabis education courses. So we review any kind of educational content that other people have created and
Love that.
put our education stamp of approval on that. So
Love it.
yeah, so there's a lot of work that we're doing. And yeah, like I said, I'm just very, very excited about it. 2025 is going to be a really big year at education. So
proud of these strong women leaders in our industry. You guys are kicking ass up there. You really are.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Honey, it's been so nice to chat with you. Would you come back, and tell us all the new stuff that happens when it does in the future? And I'm just really proud that you have managed to find this wisdom by listening to what's going on inside of you, being called by the universe. That's a big lesson too for all of us. And cannabis helps this introspective creature, come out of us and allow us to hear it better, doesn't it? It allows introspection to happen and help us blossom. So you've shown us that is an incredible, powerful tool that we all possess to listen to our own intuition about stuff.
Absolutely. Awesome.
You're a powerful woman. I love chatting with you, love knowing you, love being friends with you, JJ.
Thank you so much, honey. Thank you. It was an honor to be here, and I would love to come back. I have so much I could still talk to you about. I could do all day. So yeah, anytime. Just let me know.
Okay. All right. We'll see you again real soon then. Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Right.
Take
Bye
care.
for now.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
You've been listening to another Cannabis Truth Podcast with 21st century cannabis shaman Honey Smith Walls. Using cannabis mindfully as medication is a different concept in Western healthcare philosophy, specifically over the past century. There's a lot to learn and reconsider. The scientific truth of cannabis is finally getting out and is wide open for all to see at respected medical sites like the National Library of Medicine at pubmed.gov. and the Journal of American Medical Association at JAMAnetwork.com. We here at the Cannabis Truth Podcast are right there in the thick of it, alongside the titans of medicine, as a fly on the wall. We are not doctors, nor did we go to medical school, but we have taken dozens of private cannabis courses and still engage in continuing education offered by expert cannabis scientists. Over the past few years, we slowly began to see and understand the bigger picture. Now we hear from people all day long about cannabis. It is so important to use verifiably safe products. The process of getting a diagnosis from your family doctor and taking your records to a cannabis specialist can lead you to the correct cannabinoid therapy for your specific issues. Otherwise, you're simply your own guinea pig looking for answers without the foundational knowledge or ability to determine your best strategy. To find a qualified cannabis expert in your area, visit cannabisclinicians.org. This is a national society of cannabis experts. Look for the link in the show notes. Unless otherwise proven by a reputable third-party lab test, please regard all street weed as contaminated. It may do grave harm to a patient with a delicate immune system who already has inflammatory issues like arthritis, IBS, fibromyalgia, or worse. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you find value and understanding through the conversations you've heard on this podcast.